back to Between the Ribs with Jonathan Morris on Florida Man Radio.
Hijacking the next generation, either physically, emotionally, psychologically, because warfare has changed over the years. You know, warfare is constantly changing, right? We believe we're a more civilized nation now, but I think it's almost better just to kill people than to psychologically mess them up, because that injury lives on for a long time.
I mean, all of it's crazy.
I understand that, but if you kill your enemy, he's dead. If you psychologically jack him up or her up, and then they pass that on to multiple generations and raise jacked up people, I think somebody realized, hey, it's better to keep them alive, and let's just mess them up real bad. Mess them up where they don't realize that we're the enemy. We'll turn them on each other, and we'll have them fighting over their identity because they don't know who they are. And then the ones who know who they are will be mad at the ones who don't know who they are. And the ones who don't know who they are will be mad at the ones who say they know who they are.
Are you talking about the past or the present?
I'm talking about right now.
Okay.
But
yeah, it's repeating.
It's repeating. But part of Nebuchadnezzar and their belief system, that Chaldean syndrome, was to kill the ones you had to kill, and then the ones you were going to save, because they were smart enough to know the earth was going to go on and they were going to need people, and their sons and their sons and their sons were going to need people to rule over. And let's just go ahead and manipulate everybody and get them all on our team and get them so messed up that they don't know who their identity is, who their God is, who their people are. And then we ultimately will just control everybody by controlling the way they think of themselves and their belief systems, and we'll only educate them a certain way. I mean, it's almost like the Democratic Party and the crazy left liberals went back and studied history and like, oh, we can do this right now in America. We can jack these people up. Let's start pushing from within an identity crisis in America.
Fun.
Because, like, you know, transgender's been around forever.
Right.
Dudes cross-dressing have been around forever. It's as old as Adam and Eve, I guess. Maybe not Adam and Eve, but you know what I'm saying. It's been around. You can go back to every...
Adam and Eve did not have that in their mindset.
I know.
At all.
I was being a little bit facetious, but...
Like at all.
If you go back to the Romans and the Greeks, and
right, there was...
Dudes were weird.
Homosexuality, there was cross-dressing, there was women
molestation,
were nothing.
Women were less than property. We're going to get to that in just a second. So Daniel, out of Judea, you know, under the living God, his parents named him Daniel. Daniel meant God is my judge. And I'm not going to bore you with all the name changes of all the people that were taken. But Daniel sticks out, right? He's Daniel in the lion's den, right? He sticks out. Right. So, and he's famous for his faith in Jehovah and in God, that I will not kneel, kill me, throw me in the lion's den. I'm not worshiping another God. So he made the book, right? But they changed his name to Belshazzar. It's a weird name. It's a long name.
What does it mean?
It has two meanings.
Okay.
One meaning is protected by Bel. Bel protects that life. Bel, the false god. Bel, B-E-L.
Oh.
Bel was a false god in the region back then that the Babylonians worshipped and served. And I don't know if he was the fire god or I don't know. He was one of the gods. Okay. I don't care. It's irrelevant. The other meaning was, and it goes hand in hand, Bel protects his life, but the Babylonian interpretation of that is Lady of the King.
Wait, so now he is a Lady of the King?
So I don't know for a fact, because I haven't been able to find it, if Daniel was actually...
cross-dressing?
Castrated.
Oh.
When they captured him, if they actually cut all his stuff off. I haven't been able to find that or verify that, but I do know that it talks about putting Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego with the eunuchs and under the chief eunuch. So I would imagine it happened. But I can't verify that. But they changed his name to Lady of the King.
So rude.
I know, how disgusting, right? So they desecrated him after robbing and taking all the economic value out of his country. And then they changed his identity, DEI.
Yeah.
We do it in a more civilized manner today with diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And you only have to have your junk cut off if you want it cut off.
Right. You can just tuck and pretend. You don't have to cut it off. And we're not going to force you to. But I mean, like, okay, I know some people are like, man, Jonathan, you're taking this way too far. But am I? Am I taking it too far?
You know, I can appreciate knowing that things that are going on today went on during biblical times and how they dealt with it or didn't deal with it. But it's nothing under the sun is new. And that's refreshing because it also gives me hope.
Right? There's a way out of this insanity. But I don't know if we're at the forceful, hostile takeover part yet. But
not looking forward to that part.
No, I'm not either. You just be prepared. I don't condone violence against the government, but just be prepared. Especially, it's weird, and I want to finish this up before we get to November, because we just had election week, August 20th.
Right.
And I don't know if I'm as confident now as I was a week ago about November, based on what happened on August 20th. In Florida, in Seminole County, we won some, we lost some. And I'm talking about, if you look at the primary, some of the people who are not representing Republicans and conservatives the right way won by landslide still. And we're gonna get to we're gonna tie all this together. But Lady of the King and Bell Protects My Life, that goes hand in hand. Because if you understand that time frame, and we were talking about this before the show, so let's continue this conversation. Back then, women were less than property. So you had kings, you had landowners, you had farmers, you had traders, you had vagabonds, you had servants, you had animals, you had property, and then you had women. So to align with Protected by Bel, who's the false god, and Lady of the King, that was letting Daniel know that if you follow suit, tuck tail, for lack of a better word, and go along with this, yeah, we're going to make you worship another god, and we're going to make your moral compass go opposite of what you believe, but we're going to protect you. We're going to take care of you. We're going to provide for you. All your needs are going to be met. Just bow down and submit to us. And with a name change and an identity change, and there's no country to go back to, because even if you went back, it's desolated lands that have been destroyed, so there's nothing to go back to.
Right.
So unless you're a good, solid, moral man with a good foundation, you tuck tail and submit, because it's preservation. It's crazy. We were talking about you made a comment about, in the Bible times, men were allowed to have 100 wives, 1,000 wives.
Right.
And I say that in your tone facetiously.
But in the Old Testament, right? And then especially if the married brother died, then the alive brother was supposed to take the dead brother's wife and take care of her and their family and be married to her.
Right. Yes.
So
I asked that question, right, to a bunch of people, because I wanted to know, not that I want a bunch of wives, because I don't even know how you could do that, to be honest with you. And I'm not talking about the performance part. I'm talking about the mental part.
Yeah, one person.
Yeah. And the Bible is clear about one man, one woman for life. And I'm not going to try to get into the divorce debate, because that's between you and God. I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Right.
But the Bible's very clear about marriage and the vow and the commitment of marriage. But I asked him, because you know me, I'm the make it make sense guy. Make it make sense. And I asked the preacher, I asked another guy that's in the ministry, and just different people. And then I looked up some books, and I was doing a little, not really reading, but a little scanning. And I was like, well, how did God, who's like, God never changes, he's the God yesterday, today, and forever. How was King David and Solomon and all these different kings allowed to have 1,000 wives, 1,000 concubines? Like, that violates the word of God.
Right.
But if you look, and this is what they told me, and I looked at it and I verified it, every one of those people who did that, including Abraham and Sarah, who Sarah gave Abraham her maid to have a baby with because she was too old and she didn't trust God and wait on God, God judged every single one of them. None of those escaped without some type of judgment for disobeying God. But doing the morally correct high ground thing, back then, and this is true, I looked it up, if a woman was not married, not in her father's house, she was free game. She was fair game to anybody and everybody. Meaning a group of guys could come through town. They're just, let's say they're skin traders, lion skin, elk skin, whatever animal skin, they're skin traders. And they're just passing through town and they see a woman out and they ask her who she belongs to, and her dad's dead. She has no husband. She's not married to the king. All of those men in that group can sexually have their way with her and even kill her and leave her in the street, and not a word would be spoken. That's a crazy time to be alive.
How times have changed, thank goodness.
Yeah, women had zero rights back then. They were considered less than property and animals and slaves.
I mean,
Or servants.
goats are pretty cool, but a doe wouldn't be less than one.
So there was a lot of families, even moms and dads, that would encourage their somewhat adult daughters to go marry the king and join the king's palace, because maybe the dad's old and feeble. He knows he's going to be dead in a couple years. And he's like, I can't die and leave my daughter. So they would encourage their daughters to go marry the king, be a wife of the king, be a concubine of the king, and that way we know you're protected forever. But that comes with a high price. Could you imagine Billy Hippopotamus? And he had 1,000 wives. You were 998 number. You were number 998.
I would have been first or none.
First and last?
Yes, first and last.
Ricky Bobby, you're the first or last.
All right.
Which one are you? First and last.
Yes.
So you wouldn't share? I asked my wife that.
And Amy wouldn't share you either.
I know she wouldn't. I'm too good. She got the good goose.
So a lot of words.
Yeah, so you just think about, I don't know, to me it's eye-opening because I was studying up on this DEI thing and like how did it come about? How's it taken over? Where did all the push and the power and the money? Because think about getting on TV, what it costs to advertise. Like I've looked into TV commercials. They're stupid expensive. I'm not talking about Super Bowl either. I'm talking about like, hey, I just want to be on Channel 35 tomorrow night for 2 minutes. It's stupid expensive.
Well, you're not going to get a 2-minute commercial, but like even a 30-second commercial, like what's the price range?
Thousands and thousands of dollars.
For one 30-second commercial?
Yeah, I looked at one commercial. It was, now, you got it like so many days in a row. It wasn't just like one commercial. It was like with radio. It was like a slot. So you pay so much for a month, and that commercial is going to run 25 times a month or whatever.
Right.
I'm just throwing numbers out there. But the one I looked at locally in Orlando, out of a TV station in Orlando, it was $5,500 to be on the TV, to have a live recorded TV produced commercial. That was everything. The production, the recording, that was everything. And
that might be worth it. I have no idea how businesses work.
I didn't do it. I passed on. I chose to get into radio. Radio is my favorite spent money.
I'm so glad you did.
And all the people that love me for it. But I want to transition just a little bit to, and here's the thing. I don't push religion because I don't believe in religion. I believe in relationship. But I still don't push my relationship on people. Because
it's your relationship and they have to have their own.
Yes, I met a guy named Jesus Christ and he ultimately changed my life forever. I still make a lot of mistakes and I'm still a dirty, dirty boy. You know what I mean? And Amy's got a lot to deal with me. And I don't mean...
She does. God bless her. She's wonderful.
Yeah, and I don't mean like I do bad things in my marriage. Like I don't deal, but I'm a lot to deal with. I've got a very bad, rough past. You know what I mean? Like I just got... Everybody carries tar around with them, no matter if you believe it or not. And the worst thing about being in a tar pit is when you get out, tar drips off of you for a long time. And it's hard to come out crystal clean.
That's true.
Right? So and if you know me, you probably know that there's times that, man, look at that tar drop Jonathan just dropped. But when you change from a moral focal point, mine's God, Jesus, my God. But when you change from a moral focal point to a political God, and you make politics your God, we're in big trouble. Between the Ribs, Jonathan Morris, we'll be right back.